today are dipping a toe into the sordid world, the sordid world of Sword YouTube. You see what I did? Get it? Anyway, Shadiversity is beefing with the regular people that do sword stuff because he's a very irregular person that does sword stuff. He's a big weirdo. This is his video. This is his video bitching about this video. I am not going to watch this whole video. I'm only going to watch a little piece of this video. I am going to watch this video. So, this is a response to a video this guy did that he will show in this video about Shadiversity. Not even about Shadiversity. About people who don't actually do sword stuff talking about sword stuff in sword YouTube circles. And Shadiversity, without being named, took it upon himself to assume, well, I don't know anything about swords. I'm made to be very insecure about this. I bet this motherfucker's talking about me right now. I bet this guy's talking about me because I don't know anything about swords, but I still do sword content. I can't actually use swords. So I'm a fraud, and that makes me feel bad, and I always have to, like, he has a pathology of this. He does this about being a writer. He did this about being a fucking artist. Remember that video we did? If you haven't seen that video, it's up on the YouTube channel. You should go follow YouTube. If you're watching, if this is a YouTube video right now, smash that subscribe button. I've never said that. Smash it. Chat, subscribe immediately to the YouTube channel. I've never actually tried to I've never started a YouTube video by saying, hey, go watch. Anyway, so let's watch just a second of this because I want you to get Shad's vibe.
The sword community, for the most part, throughout its entire history, has pretty much been a really supportive and collaborative community.
Do you think the person holding the camera is Fluffy or Skim Milk, his co-host on the podcast, if you don't watch the Night's Watch? He definitely said, let me go get my fucking Gambison. Let me get my duct-taped, double-bladed longsword. And let's walk in front of the castle prop while we make this video. An hour-long video about bitching. Are they in this video? Is Fluffy's allowed. Fluffy was allowed to wear the stuff. I don't know who this is. Who is that guy? Anyway, he's talking about the drama. This is a big drama video. As you can see, the culprit is here. We'll watch a little bit later. I just want you to see what the vibe is that we're dealing with here if you've never seen this guy. So this is a sword. This is Sellsword Arts. He will introduce himself, so I don't have to.
Hi, my name is David, and I am the one-man show behind all the content you see here at Sellsword Arts. And yes, I have seen Shadiversity's response video to me. I've been debating what I wanted to do. If I wanted to make a point-by-point rebuttal like he did, if I wanted to just ignore it, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that I think Shad misunderstood the point of my video, and that led him to make a premise for his video based on that misunderstanding. So today, we're gonna clear some things up.
This video is called Shadiversity Attacked Me Over a Misunderstanding? ? A response. Hilarious. So, Shadiversity essentially started beef with a person that wasn't starting beef with him because he got insecure about the accusations made in this video, independently of this guy. So this is great.
So at the beginning of Shad's video, he says that the sword community has been attacked by me, which makes me feel like he doesn't feel like I'm in the sword community. So how about this? Why don't we have a public live stream? I'll bring some of my instructors, you can bring your co-presenters, and we can clear up any misunderstandings. In the first few minutes of Shad...
So this started out with a challenge to Shadiversity to have a conversation about this because he is not an expert in swords, but claims essentially to be so, right? He gets things wrong, and sometimes the sword community, you know, has to deal with him putting out wrong information.
Shad's video, he lays out his premise, and it's based on his interpretation of these two quotes. This one, if you don't do the art, you cannot talk about how to do the art. And this one. But today I want to talk to you guys about what makes good sword content and who you should and shouldn't listen to and why. He comes to the conclusion that I'm saying you shouldn't watch other content creators.
The background music is actually frustrating me.
And you shouldn't talk about swords unless you fence. The meaning of my words, both now and in their original context in my video, are that while you should definitely enjoy pop culture and fantasy swordsmanship content.
Dude, this guy is the prototypical, like, halfling level 10 fighter. I mean, he's literally Orin of the Arashari in real life. Look at him. This guy could stab me to smithereens immediately. Without trying. Look, this guy, you know, this guy knows how to swing a sword. He can jump all over the place and stab you good. Is that a short joke, Jake? I don't even know that he's short. Is he short? He could be 5'10". I have no way to reference. He just looks like a swordsman. Look at this guy. He's obviously swinging swords. Well, Alley Cat, I wasn't saying it horny. Jeez, whoa. Alley Cat's saying it horny though.
Content, like I encourage in the video, you should also be able to understand the difference between that and the reality of how swords and swordsmanship work. And if you're putting yourself forward as an authority on swords and swordsmanship and how they actually function, you should probably use them. The purpose of my original video was to help educate my followers on the difference between content that's made purely for fantasy and fun and content that's made to help educate them on the way the sword is actually used. In this context, where I'm trying to help my followers discern between fantasy and educational content, the word listen doesn't mean don't watch somebody else's stuff. It means whose advice should you take about how to use the sword. Anime, video games, pop culture, and all of those things are not accurately representing swordsmanship. It's cool, it's fun, and it's enjoyable to watch, but that's not the way that swords would have actually been used. Most of it's focused on looking cool, doing cool choreography, and there's nothing really wrong with that, like I said before, and I'm gonna say that over and over again in the video. And the last thing that I want to say is, it's not bad to love fantasy and anime and video games and things like that. I love them, I play them, I watch them. So how do you, the viewer, know?
All of that seems reasonable, right? Right? Anime? That's right. Big Black Clover fan. I've never actually watched it, I've just seen that it exists. Is it good, chat?
When a presenter is worth listening to. If they're talking about how to use a sword, they
Wasn't going to be irresponsible and untrustworthy by getting high tonight, but period sucks, so edibles it is. Damn. Sorry to hear that. Happy to see that you're nice and high, though.
should use a sword. They should fence. Not everybody has to go to a tournament and win gold to be worth listening to. I fence and train under a number of different people who don't compete in tournaments because they don't like to, but they're still amazing instructors and fencers. No, they have to do the art. If you don't do the art, you cannot talk about how to do the art. Now,
that's reasonable. I think you can, like, in a sports analogy, you could, for instance, watch a lot of fencing and I think talk about the art a little bit if you're like an analyst in some way, but I think that would be like these instructors or something, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I guess, never mind, you already said that. Yeah.
there are people who are historians who don't fence, and they have valid insights about the history of these weapons, but they don't have an understanding of how they would have been used. You cannot understand how these things would have been used just by studying books. You have to pick one up, and you have to do it. People have a hard time differentiating between that fantasy and the reality of how these things would work because they just don't have enough exposure to them. But if you watch good content, you're critical of the presenter, you understand how experiments are formulated, and you check out awesome sword channels, you can learn more about how these things are actually used, and that'll lead to you enjoying swords and swords media even more.
Now, I'm not a swords YouTube individual. I don't watch a lot of sword stuff, but I will say, I'm interested in what he has to say about swords. The way he delivered that information, how confident he seemed in delivering that information. I believe that he is an authority on that. Like, man, swords are pretty dope. Who doesn't like a sword every once in a while? His vibes are pretty good. Yeah. I think this is cool. It's so fucking funny. Shad watched this and went, I can't fucking believe he's targeted me. Yeah. He's pretty upset.
I think I might still get some pushback on this point, but I stand firm on it. If you do not practice the art of swordsmanship, you should not present yourself as an authority on the art of swordsmanship.
I agree. That seems reasonable.
Just like if you want useful opinions on a paintbrush, you ask a painter. If you want useful opinions about the way a sword works, you need to ask a fencer. What is fencing? Well, it's fighting with swords. It's kind of a universal term. It comes from the Latin root defensa, which means defend. And if you look at something like the Book of Five Rings, they even reference fencing in that in the English translation. Now, I specifically do historical European martial arts, and even more specifically, I do longsword, saber, and rapier. And the reason that I don't make a lot of content about eskrima or kendo is because I wouldn't have useful opinions on those. And within the context of historical European martial arts, the best approximation we have is using steel swords with a certain amount of protective gear.
Neat.
The reason I feel
So, I think at this point we can back up a second and go see the beginning of Shad's video and watch like the first minute or so, maybe a little bit more, and get some of his side of it, because then this response section, I assume, I don't know if he's going to add a bunch of Shad in this or not, but I am interested in what he has to say about Shad's bitching about this. I don't know. I'm kind of scrubbing to see if there's any of that in here, but what I think is very funny is that after he'll introduce this, he'll bring this up a little bit. He sits down with whoever the fuck this guy is. We'll see in the scrub here. Wherever he's at, this old guy's coming. There he is. He sits down with this guy and just copes about it for a while. They just talk. They talk it out. And he goes and talks it out with Fluffy, and then they fight swords a little bit and talk it out a little bit more, and then they, for an hour of this, which is definitely not a thing I'm watching. So we're only going to watch a little bit of this. Anyway, let's watch his little intro again because it's so dorky and fun.
The sword community, for the most part, throughout its entire history, has pretty much been a really supportive and collaborative community. I
think it's hilarious to have this, and then you have this fucking like steel bracket thing holding them sort of not even together, just sort of like near each other. It's stupid. Why don't you just hold one sword? That doesn't look cooler. I think this is dumber. But isn't a whole video he's always coping.
Responded to back and forth, time to time, disagreeing. But one of the kind of tones that you'll notice through most of these disagreements was an acknowledgement that we still like each other, even not like, we respect each other, the content they're making, and we kind of just want to add to the discussion, even if we're vehemently disagreeing.
He's coping that other people fucking, like, he knows that people don't like him in the community because he's a little freak.
And we've been doing this for a while, so much so that things do evolve. There's been some falling outs. Matt Easton disassociated with me because I have very religious and conservative viewpoints I share on Night's Watch.
A little plug for his fucking conservative shit show that, I mean, the content on there is awful. We've done a few of the videos over there. Awful. So fucking bad. Just barely able to muster what it takes to do political commentary on a right-wing space. The only reason is because he did sword stuff and some people trickled over there.
Scarlegrim doesn't like me or our content, but something that we've never done is openly say you shouldn't watch anyone else's content because...
Well, you just sort of did when you mentioned the two people that don't like you because your fan base is going to be like, well, fuck them then, right? You kind of are doing that. I think he knows he's doing that also. He would never say it, though, just passive-aggressively.
I still believe, even with our disagreements, we understand that we all, and I know I certainly believe this, that we all contribute positive, beneficial things to this community. Now, by the way, I'm actually probably even closer with some other members of the Sword community than I've ever been. Metatron, Lindy Beige, Modern History TV, Jason Kingsley.
Modern History TV.
And I still get along great with so many others, so I don't want to think people thinking that, you know, everything is falling apart.
I don't want people to think everything is falling apart. Hilarious. I don't want everyone to think everyone fucking hates me. They don't hate me. See, I have friends. I have friends in all the videos I do.
This
Lindy Beige's dickhead? I'm sure every single person he named sucks. I don't know any of them. Lindy Beige sounds bad.
standard that has been maintained, this kind
Why would he phrase it like that? Because it is burning down.
art. I don't want to think people thinking that, you know, everything is falling apart.
I thought he was married. Am I crazy? I don't see a ring on that little sausage link.
This standard that has been maintained, this kind of respect and desire
He
to
doesn't wear a wedding ring?
build the community, has been really beneficial and positive, and it's something that I want to continue. But this is also why the recent video that Sellsword Arts released is particularly troubling, because in this video, not only does he say that he is encouraging people to not watch other certain content creators.
But today I want to talk to you guys about what makes good sword content and who you should and shouldn't listen to. So how do you, the viewer, know when a presenter is worth listening to?
He doesn't mention who, but it's pretty clear he's talking about us. And
Little self-report, in my opinion. He's talking pretty clear. He's talking about us when he mentions the people who don't know what they're talking about and have no expertise. And that's the only evidence he gives on who he's talking about? Huh. Look, guys, I'm not at the center of sword controversy necessarily, but this is deep drama. Wait, am I doing a drama stream? Is this a drama clip? Wow. It happened. I didn't mean to. I just thought this was interesting. Because Shadiversity is a conservative and a Mormon, and he keeps everything's falling apart. He's not. It's not actually. He said it wasn't. All right, a little bit longer on this.
and a couple of others. I'll talk more a bit about that later.
Okay. That's about 45 fucking minutes into this.
But not only does he say and encourage whoever watches him to not watch other members in the sword community, he outright says that people who do not practice the art should not talk about the art.
Should not profess themselves as experts in the art.
Meaning swordsmanship.
If you don't do the art, you cannot talk about how to do the art.
How to do the art, yeah.
And to me, that is particularly aggressive and negative. So much so, why I feel it's necessary to make this response. So,
That's aggressive and unnecessary. All right, let's keep watching this. My response. You can see that he's going to go into a cope fest for an hour, and this is an 8-minute long video. Right? You can see the difference in pathology here.
The need to make this video is to clear up this misunderstanding, and also because some of my videos were clipped in such a way that it loses necessary context, which reflects poorly on my character in such a way that I feel the need to defend myself. The first clip is me test cutting. So I think the problem that we see when people are trying to justify this is they do test cuts on inanimate objects. And it's being used in Shad's video to prove that I do tests that test out whether a technique works or not against an inanimate object. However, test cutting isn't to prove whether a technique works, it's simply a test of edge alignment, and for me it's just kind of for fun. Additionally, this is one of, if not the first times that I ever cut. I feel it's very important for me to show both my successes and my failures on this channel so my audience can see my growth and understand where my skills are.
I haven't done a lot of cutting on this, so you're ready to see me fail.
Dude, we have a whole ass
Okay, it's not
sword dojo.
exactly what I wanted, but
Fuck
it's a pretty
yeah.
nice cut. I probably need
Dudes rock. Fuck yeah. Dude, you got the fucking little short booties. You even have a fucking got monitoring your fucking heart rate and your dope ass ankle. You know this man can wield two swords. Jedi. Literally a Jedi. If we had laser swords, immediate Jedi.
to add some
You can see it. He's not fucking around. This? Which way, Western man? Obvious actual swordsman? Guy in cosplay. Cosplay's cool. Totally fine. Like a little cosplay from time. Hey, look. Wait, I'm sure. Wait, hold on. Oh, damn it. I should have had it queued up. Never mind. No, hold on. I got a wizard hat. We can just do that. I was gonna show me and Sarah in full cosplay because we're cute, but I don't have time for that shit. I don't have time for that shit. Okay. We're in real business hours right here.
Some weight down here. Let's see if we can
Go.
get. Okay, so the stand's pretty loose. I'm not in love with this stand, if I'm honest. I'm probably gonna stuff something in here that's making the cuts a lot harder.
Ooh.
Yeah. The stand's gotta get some weights. Let's try this again. Got some weights. Again, new it.
Here goes. Easy.
So,
Literally just a context on the cutting. It's pretty dope,
Okay.
though.
The
Pretty
second
dope.
clip that Shad
We do, swords, right? They'd be cutting. That's quality sword content. I've never seen Shad cut things with swords. Mostly because I don't watch Shad.
uses is one of me using a foam sword after I make the point that foam swords are not a good approximation of steel swords and shouldn't really be used for a test of whether or not a technique works. Or they start
Oops, all genders. Didn't get a notification. Anyway, happy 42-month anniversary. It also said you just refollowed, which is crazy. Okay? Real mentor versus LARPer. True. He literally does lightsaber shit. It's a cool channel. Yeah, but if he had real lightsabers, you know? Okay.
or they spar with foam.
Spar with foam.
However, this clip's taken out of context because in the video that he's
Altered Rin! Thanks for raiding! Welcome, Rinners! Welcome. Look, the possums. Sword lesbians. Look, we have a halfling level 10 fighter right here. Welcome! Welcome!
showing a clip from.
Did you guys watch Dave earlier? We didn't really talk about Dave today because I didn't do any of his content, but he actually went live and just watched my cooking video on meatballs and then refused to finish it and then got bullied into finishing it and then just coped and said they're bad. That was it. The day before, he just restreamed a hype train and was mad and then shut stream off. It was pretty weird.
Very explicitly at the beginning and the end talk about how this is not a true test of this technique because we are limited in the usage of foam swords because true steel greatswords are too dangerous to fight with.
Important video about Sellsword arts to see how much of a D&D fighter he is. Am I watching this fucking whole video or is this just a... Oh, I see it's a short. He's just cutting bottles. Catch me when you cut a man.
It's frankly not safe to spar with. I do love these padded sword trainers, but they are not the same as real swords. We just want to get that caveat out of the way.
So it's crazy that Shadiversity was opposed. You know, he was upset that like, ooh, you know, don't spar with foam swords. Literally in the video gives an explanation as to why we're doing this stuff. Right? Not the same thing as only ever sparring with fucking foam swords, dude. Just not the same.
We think it's really important that you know that this is not a 100% recreation of that.
So after we did our experiment, first we have to note that these swords are not steel swords. They do not react like a steel sword would. This is a thought experiment. It is not a conclusive, definitive experiment that proves anything. It's just kind of like what would maybe happen.
Furthermore, I've made multiple videos talking about how I love foam swords and I use them all the time in my training, but they are not steel and they are not a good approximation for when you're testing whether or not a technique is viable or not. This is a padded longsword and it is one of my favorite training tools because it means I get to do low gear sparring, meaning I don't have to put on my whole hot, sweaty kit to get some sparring or some practice reps in. It's also great if you don't have the money to buy a full kit. You can buy one of these and a mask and you're good to go and start sparring or practicing with your friends. Now I have to tell you it's not the same as a steel sword. The weight's different, the way the blade moves and interacts with other swords is different, but it's still really good to get some practice reps in.
Dealing with hate comments?
As for the comments section, yes, I have been deleting comments because we've been getting hundreds of comments that are inappropriate, slurs, and other things that...
Good luck with your gender transition. If you're 3 now using longsword, is that like default becoming a great sword? What is like training with Merry and Pippin? Was Aragorn a patient teacher? Does Gandalf really smoke his pipe? Manlet looking ass goblin out here. Goblin. Trying to start some drama. Get bent, you little fuck. Sheesh. Normal Shad fan. Yeah, this is an average Shad
are not
fan.
allowed on my PG channel. I'm out in public, I go to a lot of events, tournaments, Renaissance festivals, workshops, and I meet my fans, and I don't want to be associated with that kind of negativity. Now, I welcome constructive criticism, but as I said before, I am a one-man show, and since Shad's video went live, I have been inundated with comments that are
5 foot. There's no way Shadiversity is a tall guy. Whoops.
positive and family-friendly place, so I will be deleting those.
That's reasonable.
So where do we go from here? Well, I'm gonna keep making content the way I always have been. I'm not gonna let any of
Do you want to
before.
read?
I am
We
a
should
one
read some of these content. I need to read this shit. What the fuck is this novel? Did Shad actually show up?
Now,
Be civil, bro. You're a cuck. What does that say, dude? Hold on. We need to go back a little bit further. No one. This is from General Othanel. Is that a character from one of his books? Is this his burner account? No one, no matter what's walk of life, has the right to tell me who I should and should not like to watch, and I find it very laughable that a man, unless I know from his own perspective he's not been to a war, to know the true meaning of a warrior. So this is a run-on. You may claim to be a true warrior in your own video, but you are truly not unless you have proof of your credentials. Have you been forced to go to war for the sake of your family? Have you had to look into the eyes of your enemy and take their lives? Because while you may talk about sportsmanship, like how pop culture does, and believe me, you do in a way that I find it no different from the other swordsmanship content creators, but you seem to talk about swords as if you are a true warrior, when I find the most laughable piece of cap I have ever experienced in my life, or ever heard in my existence. Swordsmen were not the type of images that we have seen through pop culture, nor were they talked about through history. They were just as much as killer rapists and murderers as anyone else remembers. Those that were like that, whether they be in the battlefields today or yesterday, I find it very disrespectful to true man that had to go through such pain of fighting in war and taking up a gun to develop themselves just as much as men that had to be forced to take a sword to defend themselves and to fight for their lives. A weapon today, baby. Some form of reminder of this is gobbledygook, of a past long forgotten. But that same weapon in the past was nothing more than a tool for survival. I find it very disgraceful that you would say this, and I find you have no place to tell anyone anything, for you are nothing but entertainment at this very moment. If anyone wants to know swordsmanship, they can go to places like you are still learning. But if people just want to talk about swords and talk about the other medium that swords are even talked about nowadays, which is the things of pop culture, anime, and so on, they have, come on, there we go. They have their absolute right to do so, and you are in no place to tell people otherwise. I'm going to be honest, and this may be brutal, but know your place, you absolute jabroni. This guy's fucking owned. A fucking jabroni. Alright, I need a little smoke after that one. I'm going to be doing a little dishonesty real quick.
Fuck bicycles!
People, we're a mistake. Sheesh. Jabroni. This isn't a copy pasta, but it fucking should be. It was deleted, though, so someone would have to literally transcribe this, and I'm not into that.
And show.
5 foot man, calculating your height using the water bottle leads me to believe you're 5'1.5". Calculating your height using the water bottle? Sellsword? Literally calls him a sellsword? Let's do it like a D&D character. Sellsword, you're a joke. You've never been in a real sword fight with your life on the line. You know sports. That's it.
You're like the military larper that claims to know more about being a soldier than regular Joes because you dress up and run around shooting airsoft at a playground. Your rear is showing, sir.
And then he walks off.
And since Shad's video went live, I have been inundated with comments that are
Well, when a creator is not covered in tattoos like a degenerate, then he is possibly worth listening to. This guy's name is Atheismo9760. A degenerate? These are dope tattoos? This is a biblically accurate
disrespectful,
angel or
hateful,
something?
and made in bad faith.
No, it's just a dope wolf. It's a fucking runic wolf. Yeah, we got runes. We got Viking shit going on. Ugh. Lol. He said full gear, then looked down at his pajamas. Lomow. That's a West Virginia weed account. Way to gatekeep a whole community, dog. Since you haven't killed anyone with a sword recently, probably should stop talking about the art. How do you know he hasn't killed anyone recently? Huh? How do you know?
Faith, and I do
Could
not
be
have
you next, dude. Talking like this. Let's talk about who you should and shouldn't listen to. Well, after watching this, I feel pretty safe in my belief that I shouldn't listen to you, Owned. And not just because of the LGBT shit you put in your videos. The LGBT shit. Shad's fans are so fucking crazy, dude. Actually wild people.
The first thing that we really should discuss or address is how do we know that he's, in a large measure, talking about us here at Shadiversity, and why in a video like this, it's particularly disingenuous to not be upfront and honest about who you're referring to.
He literally he's seeing ghosts, dude. Look at him. He's angry, dude. Look at that red. Very angry. He's seeing ghosts, man. He saw himself in the video when he said, if you don't actually do swords, if you can't do sword things, don't talk about how to do sword things. You know what I mean? Talk about the history of the swords. Talk about why you like swords. You know, all that shit. Pop culture swords, totally fine. He said just specifically on like how to swing swords and use them and the art of fencing. I mean, if you don't do it, it's pretty hard to claim that you're an authority on it. But you know how Shadiversity is when claiming authority on things. He loves that shit. Loves to claim he's an authority when he's an amateur.
the time to respond to them, and
I won't be disrespectful since you aren't. You are elitist. You've never even seen your content. Second or third rate content creator. I watch all kinds of this type of content and never ever ever seen you before and won't after this. You're a jerk. Nailed it.
my YouTube is supposed to be a positive.
This guy has millions, 1.2 million subscribers. That's not nothing. He's only slightly smaller than Shad. 1.69 million and plummeting.
And family-friendly place, so I will be deleting those. So where do we go from here? Well, I'm gonna keep making content the way I always have been. I'm not gonna let any of this change what I do, and I encourage you guys to keep consuming content the way that you have been. Enjoy whatever you like, but I still encourage you to use critical thinking skills to understand what it is that you're viewing.
That was funny. We don't have to watch the rest of the Shad video. He literally just sits there and copes the whole time. That was fucking funny. Shadiversity is obviously very stupid. Getting very self-conscious about being called bad at swords. Shadiversity does not want to be known. Please don't write in the newspaper that Shadiversity is bad at swords. Should the title of the video be Shadiversity is bad at swords? Just to get the Shadiversity hate clicks. Shadiversity is bad at swords. Haha. Idiot. I know way more about swords than Shadiversity. Shadiversity doesn't even understand swords. Shadiversity can't even use a sword. Go. I bet Shadiversity can't juggle swords. I bet Shadiversity can't survive being impaled by one end of the double-edged sword. Pussy. Not even a real man. I bet your Gambison can't withstand a strike. Withstand or sustain? Pick one. I bet he can't even swallow that sword. Are you even a throat goat? I bet Shadiversity can't even gobble down a big ol' longsword. Are those swords plastic? No fucking way. Nah, they're metal, right? This is metal, at least. The bracket embarrassingly holding them together. Like, what? This isn't cool. Why do you have this? Just the sword is fine. The sword would have been fine, preferably in the scabbard. That would have been fine. I am the throat goat. It looks like two maul swords glued together and probably shatter on impact. I mean, yeah, you couldn't hit anything with it. This is just screwed into the haft. Synthetic longsword trainers. Wow. Very cool. High density plastic. Oofers. He's very upset that this happened, though. Went to the video and left a comment because I've enjoyed his content quite a bit before, and he straight up shadow banned it. My guess is that it was too accurate or too critical. He's still replying to new comments as we speak, and he's basically just bashing you guys and supporting anyone who does the same. It's downright obvious from his nearly split to like to dislike ratio, and his comment section not reflecting that he or his team is deleting comments criticizing him. Yeah.